Continuing on with the Video Expert Classroom, again today's topic is gadgets and gifts for the video producer. This is part 2. You just had the opportunity to listen to part 1 where we focus specifically on cameras. Now it's everything but cameras, and we're going to kick it off here with on-location videotaping accessories. First of all, flash memory. I mentioned to you in the first part that we're pretty much gone away entirely from tape-based cameras. No mini DV tape cameras manufactured any longer. Well, there's one, but that will no longer be the case pretty soon. So as we move more and more to flash media, it's nice to have more media, because there's nothing like being way out in the middle of almost nowhere. For example, maybe you're in the Four Corners in the middle of United States of America, videotaping out in the southwestern desert. Whether it's the beautiful landscape or Native Americans, and performing maybe a tribal dance, you have permission to videotape, and you're almost full on the flash drives you have left. So no more room to take digital photos and no more room to take digital video. It's critical that you have enough, like blank tape. It's so important to have at least one extra spare with you at all times. You just never know when you're going to need it. Now, I know that giving someone a flash drive is not a very sexy or a very it's just not a pretty kind of a gift, but it's so practical and so useful. It's maybe like a white t-shirt, but if you need a white t-shirt, that's a great gift, right? So what you see on the left is the SanDisk Extreme SD card. SD, and it's actually SDHC, which stands for Secure Digital High Capacity. Now, I have a full hour webinar at my website at yourvideoexpert.net where I go through the different flash cards and the different file formats and what they all mean and the classes for the cards. And this is critical. You can see I even have it labeled here. Class 10 is the card on the left. Now, Class 6 minimum, what that means is if you're using one of the contemporary cameras or digital still cameras and recording video, you must have a Class 6 minimum. I can't tell you how many times it stumps people nowadays. They can't get the new camera they bought to record video. It records still pictures fine. They go to do the video, and it just doesn't seem to work. The camera works, but it will not go into record. Usually, I find that that's because they have a Class 4 card. You gotta have a Class 6 card minimum. I recommend shooting with a Class 10 card if you can. Some people say that's overkill, but I'd rather have the extra bandwidth. What it has to do is the throughput or the bandwidth, the amount of information that can successfully be recorded to the card in a series. But it's actually reading and writing. Now, the Class 10 is one of the higher speeds, so you're successful with your video recording. So this is a SanDisk Extreme, and it's a 16 gigabyte card, which holds roughly 4 hours of high definition video at the highest quality setting. You can get that for $50 street price. Now, on the right is more of a decorative t-shirt. So I said on the left, there's your good quality standard SD card, flash media. Maybe that's your plain white t-shirt, but on the right we have the decorative t-shirt in a multitude of pastel colors with beautiful designs, because this is a fancy SD card. It's called the iFi, and it's been on the scene a little more than a year and a half, and the reason it's called iFi is it's a 4 gigabyte card, plus it has a Wi-Fi chip in it. That's right. This card actually will connect to the internet if you're in an internet hotspot. So you're out of vacation, maybe touring around North America, you pull into a Starbucks or a McDonald's, and yep, they both have internet, and you connect up. Because you've set up your account with the iFi card, it will automatically stream your digital photos and your digital video to your predetermined location. Whether you have an account on Flickr, upload to your Facebook account, upload to your SmugMug account, wherever you're sharing your videos and your photos, this is a really cool gift. For $40, you get a Class 6 card, so it does qualify for video compatibility, 4 gigabyte storage. So it's about a fourth, 1/4 of the capacity of the disk we see on the left. You can buy 8 and 16 gigabyte iFi cards as well. Now, there's some neat stories floating around. It's anecdotal. Actually, I think I read this one online, and it was verified, that there was a family on vacation in Europe, European vacation, and they were, as they were going throughout Europe, they were using their iFi card to upload their photos to their online gallery. Now, that's cool because it's already done for you, and you give family members and friends back home the password to your account to view the photos. They can actually view the photos before you get home, which is really cool. Well, they ran into an unfortunate situation in Europe, and their camera was stolen, not ever recovered. But the good news is their memories were not stolen, because those memories were already uploaded to their online account. So they were able to at least salvage the memories from the first several weeks of their vacation. Next item in the gifts and gadgets here is a Viewscreen Sun Shield. Here's two different examples of kind of the same thing. And what it is if you've ever used a flip-out viewfinder on your video camcorder on a bright sunny day, you know how challenging it is to kind of, see the screen. The glare on the screen, just the bright sunny day, prevents you from having a real clean shot. Well, these are Viewscreen Sun Shields. Their one and only purpose is to allow you to clearly see the view screen in kind of a little bit of shade and keep the sun off the screen. On the left, we have the Hoodman. Now, Hoodman is a company that makes even broadcast quality gear for video professionals and television professionals. This is their HD 300 video, and it's a little bit more robust than the model on the right. The model on the right is a viewfinder hood. It's $12 for the 3-inch viewfinder hood, where the Hoodman is $25. So twice the price. You do get a little bit more durable construction. Both of these available in the Amazon store and other locations as well. But this is a really nice little stocking stuffer, or a nice added gift for a video producer, perhaps even for yourself, because it really comes in handy, and it folds nicely to go inside your camera bag. Nasty clamps. Now, this is something new that I just discovered in preparation for this session. It's got one of these big construction type clamps that you see, a big spring clamp, and someone has ingeniously attached a gorilla pod kind of leg to the side of it with a tripod threaded screw on the end. And you see 4 different examples. On the top left, you see someone using one of these nasty clamps to hold a light, a camera light, to a door inside of a house. The second picture, they're holding a golf ball in front. So the next time you have to do a commercial for a golf ball, that's a weird picture to have in there. I guess it shows the flexibility of the unit. The last two, to me, are extremely practical examples. I do a lot of traveling with my family, and I love to videotape and photograph and take still images now at national parks, state parks, when we're out and about. And you can't always bring a tripod with you, depending on how much gear you're taking or if you're flying around the country. I do bring a tripod, but a lot of people find that cumbersome and difficult. So what you can do is bring your nasty clamp, because you can see in the example they have here, it clamps onto a variety of things, like the hand railing at a waterfall or a fence post when you're out and about. So very versatile, very useful. And to me, this solves one of the biggest problem I think novices have who are shooting video, and that's the instability of their footage. I mentioned earlier in the program when we were talking about cameras, one of the best things you can do to improve your video is use an external microphone when you're recording any voice work. Well, the second best thing you can do, maybe even more important than the first, is get that camera steady. Either put it on a flat, solid surface, use a tripod, use a nasty clamp, or use one of these. Now, this is the Manfrotto 709B tabletop tripod for $27. That's a street price. What you'll find is this, it's a mini eensy beensy tripod. The legs are about 6.5, 7 inches long, so it does not sit high. This is not something you're going to take with you and set up in the back of the recital hall to videotape the piano recital or the dance recital, what have you. But this is a very handy thing. Again, it fits inside of a camera bag. It's made by the Manfrotto Corporation, which is very well known for durable, solid, professional video-level tripods. But this one is nice because as I said, you can take it with you almost anywhere. And let's say you go to hear your child perform in the classroom at the elementary school. You can bring this along, and while you may not find it easy to set up a tripod in the classroom, you can set this on the desk inside and aim the camera just exactly where you want. It's hard to point out, but this the little clamp on the side here, that loosens and it swivels entirely all the way around. Now, the neat thing about this, you may know, by the way I'm talking here, I do have one of these. I've been using it for about a year in my studio here, and I use it for my webinars, some broadcasts, and some tutorial work that I do, and I absolutely love it. It also goes in my camera bag when I'm out and about and traveling, because you can also set this on the ground. You can set this pretty much on any flat surface, and it's really nice. Now, as I was started to say, you unscrew that clamp, and you might be able to see that the center column kind of tilts down. It'll tilt down a full 90 degrees so that you can shoot from the side, which may not be very helpful for video, but if you're using your digital still camera, maybe a point and shoot, it's very useful for that, because you can get one of those vertical shots too. So again, that's the Manfrotto tabletop tripod with a ball head. Very useful little device. Speaking of tripods, here's another tool. If you have a tripod and you're reasonably happy with it, it's sturdy, it holds your camera up, but you maybe want something with a little bit more weight to it. Well, you may not have to go buy a brand new tripod, because for this $12 solution, it's the Vanguard SB100 tripod bag. And what it allows you to do is you can see it attaches to all three legs just above one of the joints where the legs expand. And you can put stones or sand in there, and that helps to weigh down the tripod to give it some more girth, so that the tripod is more likely to stay in one place. Now, while I'm on this topic, I'm not ever suggesting you should walk away from your tripod. Never, ever, never, ever, never, because I have actually seen a broadcast camera be knocked over when the camera person walked away for just a moment and somebody wasn't watching their step. They tripped and they knocked over the tripod. Not a pretty scene. So never leave your camera on a tripod unattended. But this can help to stabilize it. And like I said, it's only $12, and maybe in addition to putting stones and sand in there, maybe it's a good place just to store your snacks while you're out at a long shoot. One of the possibly overlooked maintenance and care issues we have with our video cameras, and even digital still cameras, is the lens cleaning. It is so important that you clean your lens. There's nothing like getting back home in your edit suite and loading in your video footage to find that you have a blotch, a hair, a fingerprint, some obscuring marks, particularly when the light hits the lens in just the right or wrong way. Oh, it's very disappointing to have that happen to you. So before any important shoot, it's a great idea to just check your lens and even clean off your lens. Now, there's a variety of materials out there. You want to generally avoid Kleenex and paper tissue, because those are fraught with lint. They can leave a lot of lint and little hairs behind. You also definitely want to avoid any kind of an abrasive surface. You don't want to scratch your lens. You want to be careful even just about rubbing your lens with a dry cloth, because if there's any grit or sand on there, it's possible you rub that in and even scratch the surface. In growing popularity with photographers and video producers are these little lens brushes. They call them lens pens. And you can see this is a little set. For $18, you get 2 of these pens, and you get the microfiber cloth in the cute little zippered case. Okay. Now, the lens pens, what they are is essentially is a very fine hair, and they will brush lint and dirt and other things off the lens. The other lens is kind of like a little brush that will help to kind of mop up fingerprints and other blotches on the lens. So very, very useful to have a lens pen, some kind of camera cleaning kit inside of your camera bag, so it's always there with you when you go out and about. And great idea to just point your camera up towards a light sky, not towards the sun itself, but towards a light sky or a white piece of paper, some kind of a lighter background, and just take a peek in there before you begin videotaping, just to confirm that there's nothing on your lens that you're going to regret having there later on. Well, a few moments ago I talked about all these goodies and storing them in your camera bag, so I think I would be remiss if I didn't talk briefly about the camera bags. I've got 3 different camera bags to suggest for your recommendation. On the far left is the bag that I have. I've been using it about 3.5 years, and it's a bit bigger than the other 2. It's the biggest of the bunch, and it's a very large backpack, but it also accommodates something more than camera or cameras. It also accommodates a laptop or a notebook computer, and today it would probably be an iPad in there, and there's a nice pouch for it, a nice safe zippered padded pouch for, like I said, a laptop, notebook, a pad kind of computer. It's a great case if you're okay having a very large and weighty case. Now, I do have to say, if you're carrying around a camera or several cameras, the power supply, extra batteries, and a laptop in there, you're talking about a significant amount of weight. So a lot of people don't consider that. They think, oh, I would like a backpack to put all my stuff in. Yeah, well, if you're not used to carrying that around on your back, it's a surprising experience. So the best thing I can tell you, just like backpacking way back, when I was in high school and went on my first backpacking trip, it's a great idea to take your backpack or whatever it is. You've got an upcoming vacation. You're going to be 3 weeks in a very remote location, and you're taking all this gear with you. Well, take at least a couple hours. Go to a local nearby park where you can hike around for at least an hour. Put everything you expect you're going to need in that backpack and walk around with it to make sure it's comfortable enough that it's going to meet your expectations and your needs on your upcoming trip. So check it out before you go. So that's called the Quanta-Ray Pro. And I've learned just before this program that it's discontinued. There are a few models left out there. There's a couple on Amazon. You may find some in your local store. It's a great bag. I highly recommend it. It's very durable. But as I said, it is discontinued. So that's the $59 range. If you're looking for something a little bit smaller, a little bit slimmer, what we have is the Lowell bag here, and that's a $38 model. This is a sling. Now, what's nice about that, it will conform to a backpack configuration, but it also will, because of the way the straps are arranged, it'll slide sideways and can even be mounted in front of you. And what happens is you can see the zipper around the middle section. That zips open and the top kind of flops over like a hinge, and it exposes the camera so you can grab it and pull it out really quick. Much more advantageous than a backpack, because if I'm out walking on a steep part of a trail and I want to get this beautiful shot I just come across on a backpack, I have to take my backpack off my back, unzip it, take out the camera, so if it's one of those magical moments where the sun is just right in the sky, or maybe I see animals, and by the time I do that, that moment is probably gone. But a sling bag, and these are becoming more and more popular, allows you to much more quickly pull out your camera and grab the shot. Now, I should also say the big bag is more suitable for the larger style traditional camcorders, whereas the sling bag is more accommodating to the smaller video cameras and also the digital point and shoots and the DSLRs and HDSLRs. Now, one more bag is the traditional camera bag. You see this model is by Canon, and it's a $33 nice model that will accommodate HDSLRs, DSLRs, the smaller cameras, and a bunch of accessories. You can see they've got a couple additional pockets, a nice sturdy strap. It's a good model if you're looking for a traditional carry bag. But whatever you do, I strongly recommend you have some kind of a case for your camera. Even if it's a simple car trip and you're not going on a plane, it just is so important to have a special place for your camera, because it's so easy for it to get bumped, for something to fall on top of it. Also, having it in a bag, it's less likely to get exposed to dripping rain if you open up the trunk, or liquids or food crumbs, that kind of thing. So a camera bag is a great investment to protect your camera investment. Now, this is something that I've been using for the last several years to organize my gear inside of my bag. Now, this may seem kind of like frilly, but we're talking about some cool stocking stuffers and maybe something you wouldn't normally think of, but it's so useful and so helpful. This is produced by a company called Outdoor Products. That's the name of the company. And it's a 3-pack dry sack. What a dry sack is, it's made of ripstop nylon, and you put something inside of the sack. It's got an open top at the, just a pouch at the top, and then you fold it over itself, and then it snaps. You see, it's like a little seatbelt buckle, a little plastic buckle. And what that does, it's not entirely waterproof, but heavily water resistant. So if you immerse this underwater for a significant period of time, I would imagine that whatever's inside is going to get wet. But this is very nice because it does keep water away. So if it's sprinkling outside, a light rain, your gear stays dry. So what I do is I use all three. I put my camera inside the larger green bag, and then I've put my SLR camera, my point-and-shoot camera, inside the orange bag. And inside the blue bag, actually, I've put a variety of different things. Sometimes I'll put my smartphone in there if I'm on a hike and it's out of doors and maybe we're expecting it might get rained on. I've also, when I'm going through the airport, I've put extra batteries and even like a power supply, the plug-in power adapter, the AC adapter in there. And what's nice about that is if you're going through security at the airport, you just pull these little bags out of your backpack, and very easily you get through security. So it's a great little tool. For $12, you can't go wrong, and you can use them for a whole variety of things. And like I said, I've been using mine for about 3 years. Extremely durable. Some things in this price range that look like that, a little plastic buckle, you might think, well, that may last a summer if I'm lucky. I've been using mine, and I've been extremely happy with it. I use them a lot. They get a lot of use. I found them to be very durable, and I highly recommend them. Okay, this is kind of one of those frilly things, and maybe not everybody's cup of tea. But if you're using one of the point-and-shoot cameras, or maybe you're not, maybe using a standard camera, and you videotape lots of events and you want to have really good sound, well, if you're set up in the back of the school gymnasium or the back of the school theater, it can be a challenge for you to get really good audio from the front of the stage, for example. Yes, ideally you could string a microphone with a long cable, but that's fraught with all kinds of challenges if you're not a professional, not used to that. You could tap into the house PA audio system. That's what I do. But again, if you don't have the right cables, you don't have the relationship with the people there, and it may not work for you. And if you just use the microphone on your camera, you're going to get decent sound, usually, kind of, sort of, but probably not. You get all kinds of other ambient noise, extraneous noise in the room. This little handheld digital recorder, you can actually place this up next to the stage. If you have a presenter, you're recording somebody, maybe a church or the local nonprofit agency, maybe it's your business, you can set this up so the presenter, the speaker, records. It's got two microphones on the top. See how they're kind of arranged in a triangle shape? It's what they call the XY pattern, and the company that created this, that's actually the preferred way to do a stereo recording. You wouldn't think about it, but if you research it, it's one of the best ways to do a stereo recording, and it helps to preserve and capture quality audio with a lack of some of the echo and some of the other issues you get when you have set up two microphones to record the same thing. So this microphone will record high-quality stereo audio, but you can actually, and it's hard to see from this illustration, but on the bottom there's two microphone jacks, and they're XLR, which is a professional kind of audio microphone connector. So you can actually record 4 different tracks on this little baby, and I'm trying to remember, it's somewhere in the neighborhood of between 8 and 32 hours of recording time, depending on the quality setting that you use. So you can play this back. There's an SD card that fits inside of it to hold more memory, and you can dump this into your video editor as an audio file, but there's also a jack. You can plug this in and play it back through headphones, or plug it in to your editor and play it back as an audio, as an audio stream. So it's becoming very, very popular for folks to use these. I have friends, colleagues, and clients who are professional event videographers, and when they videotape weddings and ceremonies, they will put one of these up on the main stand to ensure they get really good quality audio. All right, let's jump into the next section here. We're going to talk about video editing accessories, things that would do well to go in your little edit suite, whether that's at home, in your office, wherever you've got it set up. I just discovered this past week when I was looking for a variety of gadgets, and I had a bunch in my head, but I was researching, and I came across this, and I just placed my order for this just a day before the show, and I love this. This is really cool. What it is, it's by a company called Griffin Technology, and it's the PowerMate USB Multimedia Controller. All it is, and look at the upper left picture, that's a silver, think of it as a dial, connected to a USB cable that plugs into your computer. So it's compatible with Mac, you can see it on the screen, Mac OS 10 or higher, or Windows XP, Windows Vista, and any Windows device that has a USB port. Now I neglected to check if this is Windows 7 compatible. I would imagine it is because it's a newer device, but I would have to verify that before you purchased it for a Windows 7 device. But I don't know how many of you have ever used a jog shuttle dial before. It's something we used to have and still have today on very expensive high-end video editing machines. Okay? And what a jog shuttle device is, it's a dial, and as you rotate the dial slightly to the right of center, it will slowly move forward. If you rotate the dial farther to the right, it speeds up. And think of this as playback. Largely where it's used is, like I said, in TV stations. Initially, it was to move videotapes, tape transports forward and reverse in the editing process to get just the right position to do the in point and the out point for your edits. Well, this handy little device will take over and control any keystroke in a computer application. It's programmable, but it comes right out of the box to work with iMovie. So if you're using an Apple computer, an Apple Mac computer, and you use iMovie, it works automatically. For any other video editing application on a Mac or Windows PC, I'm told it can be programmable to function. What most people would use it for is to, when you're playing back or trimming your video footage, it will allow you to go slowly, frame by frame, in forward or reverse, fast rewind, fast forward. It's a great little tool for $36. I've ordered one, and I'm sure anybody else that does, who does a lot of video editing, will be thrilled with this this cool little device. That may be my favorite device I'm sharing with you today. If you want a microphone, there's similar to video cameras, there are microphones that run in the hundreds to thousands of dollars. And then there's microphones that run $50 and some that run down to $12 and lower. Well, in this show, again, I'm presenting things for, the average video producer who's looking for good quality results, but not looking to break the bank. And so what we have here is, this is about as low as I would go with a microphone. I wouldn't spend much less than this. In fact, the company that makes this is a company called Shure, and they've been around for some time. They're known for producing good quality audio gear. Their devices are on many of the stages when you go to hear a concert, a live concert. Many of the microphones on stage are likely Shure, so they've got a good name in the industry. They're not the top of the line. There are other producers who are at the top of the line, and in recording studios they'll use finer pieces of equipment. But this will get you good quality results when you're recording vocals, when you're recording the human voice. For $50, it's the Shure SM48. Shure does have at least one cheaper microphone, but I wouldn't go for it. The reason I would start here, this would be my, my baseline, my cutoff point, is the SM48 is good rugged construction. It's got a good solid metal ball that's behind it has a very light foam windscreen, and a very durable element. A dynamic microphone is a kind of microphone you're okay about taking outside in the wind. It's a little bit more robust. Some of the microphones, like a ribbon microphone, that's going to run you $300 to $600. You want to be very careful out in the wind on that. You want to be careful of the shock mount and so forth. But When you get into a microphone that's a semi-pro or pro microphone like this, it's hard to see from this diagram, but there is no cable coming out. There is no place to connect it. You have to provide it. You have to add it. And so I've included that here. And the kind of connector they use is called the XLR connector. It's 3 holes and 3 pins. And this little adapter for $6 connects the XLR side into the microphone, and on the other side you have what's called a stereo mini plug, a stereo 1/8" mini called a ring tip sleeve, and that connects directly into the microphone input, the microphone jack on the camcorders we're talking about in the consumer to prosumer camera range. Now, one of the things I really liked, and this is seemingly small, but it's huge if you plan to use your microphone a lot. I mentioned earlier that I taught at a high school video production program for 17 years, and a lot of hands on the equipment through just even 1 year. They got a lot of use, some misuse, and just by virtue of a lot of use, I got to see the kind of things that made something durable and lasting. And one of them is this kind of a connector that's at a right angle. See how that mini jack is at a right angle? Well, why that's important is as you plug that in the camera, the cable's going to hang down because of the weight. And when it's at that right angle, it's going to be able to go straight down without putting stress on the connector. Now, most other connectors, if you just were to buy one without thinking about this, it sticks straight out. And what happens is the weight of the cable pulling on it, even if nobody's pulling down on it, but just the weight of the cable itself is going to want to bend that cable down. And what that's going to do, it's going to bend or break that tiny, fairly fragile metal connector. And Murphy's Law being what it is, it'll probably be right in the middle of a very important interview you're recording. So this little right angle connector is worth its weight in gold. Another kind of microphone, maybe you're looking for a microphone to do voiceover narration, to add, a kind of play-by-play, to narrate your latest family vacation or family history video, that kind of thing. If you're working on a computer, fewer and fewer of the contemporary computers have audio jacks, have audio input devices. What they do have is USB connectors. And there's a whole series of microphones that are USB mics. Now, this also works out great for folks doing using Skype to video conference or creating webinars, producing webinars, recording a variety of material on your computer. This microphone works well with pretty much any Macintosh or Windows computer that's using a computer-based application. Now, this particular model is the AT2020. Audio-Technica is another well-recognized name in the professional audio industry, and it's a USB condenser mic, okay? And it actually does have a USB cable, and you can see it right in the diagram here, and that plugs directly into your computer. The USB microphones come with a CD or a couple of CDs with the compatibility software of what we call the drivers and some other audio gimmicky editing software that may not be very useful. Some of them are good, some of them you don't even want to mess with. But I would just use it in concert with my video editing program. Now, if you are using the Casablanca line of digital video editors, and I've got a number of clients and listeners who use that particular application, you want to look for the Samsung CO1U. The CO1U or the CO3U have been tested and verified by the manufacturer, Macro System, on the Casablanca Bogart series. So this only works with the latter generation, next generation series of Casablanca editors. Again, if you're on a Mac or Windows computer, you can use the Samsung as well. You could also go with the Audio-Technica AT2020. So we got the one end that's recording the audio, that's picking it up. Let's go to the other end where we're listening to the audio. Why, Chet, would it be important to have headphones or earpieces or earbuds to listen to the audio? I've plugged my microphone in. Well, as you'll hear in an upcoming webinar where I talk specifically about recording audio, about microphone positions and placement and selection for the best microphone for the job, monitoring audio is so important, because when you plug a microphone into your video camera, it defeats or turns off the internal built-in microphone. And if you've got that pin in the wrong position, you might have the internal microphone turned off and the external microphone not working. It has happened. Or if there's a short circuit in the cable, when you're wearing headphones, you hear and confirm that you've got audio. Because if you don't have audio and you only got video, you only got part of the play here, okay? So there's two different styles. There's the traditional, what we audio people used to call these cans headphones, the traditional full muff headphone that goes comfortably over the ear, cutting out a lot of the external noise. This is the Sennheiser HD448, and again, there's headphones in a variety of configurations and patterns with special features and functions. They have wireless headphones, but what I wanted to do is identify a headphone that was durable enough, that wouldn't fall apart with just a few uses, had good audio quality. The reviews were really strong. The experts felt good about it, and it's going to be comfortable while you're either videotaping and listening or editing, because maybe you edit your videos late at night or early in the morning, and you want to do one of two things. You don't want to disturb the other people in your home or your office, and you also want to be able just to listen to your audio without the extraneous noise going on around you, kind of preventing you from hearing clearly what's going on. So there's the Sennheiser for $50. On the right, kind of a newer style. I brought both of these out because not everybody's happy about putting something down inside your ear. And that's what you do with these earbuds. Now, I do use a pair of earbuds. I do use them when I'm videotaping, and I also love them when I'm traveling on the airplane, because it does tend to de-emphasize all the noise around me, and I'm just comfortable either listening to audio recordings or to my Mozart or my other music selections. Now, the choice that I've selected is the J-Buds J4, $40 for a good quality pair. The device itself, the part that goes in the ear channel, is metal, and you can see it comes with a variety of different sizes because people's ears are not created equal. The ear chamber in the human is a slightly different size for each person. So it comes with each of those little adapters, comes with, of course, the cable that will plug into the headphone jack on your camcorder, as well as the jack on your smartphone to listen to music, or your iPod, your MP3 player. And it comes with the attractive little fake leather zippered case. Okay? USB flash drives. Why in the world would I bring this up? Well, as more and more of us are using computers for video editing, and maybe you have more than one computer in the household. Maybe you are doing a video for a friend, a family member or a client across town, and they have some photos on their own hard drive on their computer you want to use in the video, or they want you to use. Well, what you do is you visit them, and you plug in your USB flash drive. You download the logos, the artwork, the graphics, the photos, even the video files, and export that, and then take it back to your video editor and connect the USB drive and load it up into your video editing application. I've got two different models here. On the left is the LaCie. That's the company, the manufacturer. They're also known for their hard drives, their external hard drives. The LaCie product is called I Am a Key. And what I like about this is extremely durable. I've been using flash drives for a number of years, and some of the ones I have are plastic in construction, and they break very easily. Now, maybe I didn't take really good care of them, and I left them sitting around and exposed them to potential shock and damage. But things happen. The nice thing about this, as well, it is the size of an actual key, and it does have a hole to fit on a key ring. The nice thing about that, it's always with you. So if you need a flash drive, whether it's documents or images or video files or what have you, you can even have a demo video or your latest short video on one of these, bring it with you wherever you go, and if somebody wants to see it, you plug it into their computer, and you fire up the application inside their computer that will play back a video, and bing, you're set to go. So $27. It's a little bit pricier than, inexpensive flash drives, but if you're looking for one that's A, durable, and B, configured to travel with you wherever you go, That's a good choice. On the right, we have the Kingston Digital High-Speed Data Traveler. Now, Kingston is a company as well that's very popular in hard drives and flash media. They've been creating SD cards, compact flash cards, USB devices for years. This is the next generation, the latest generation of their USB devices, and you can't really see it. The silver part on this slides away, and there's the slot, the USB slot that plugs into the computer. And the reason why I'm recommending this, after all the reviews and a couple of expert articles, is that this is one of the best reputations for high-speed transfer of data. So in particular, video files. If you are using a different brand, I found out from several people, they've discovered that the SanDisk line suffered from slower transfer of video. So if you're transferring bigger video files, it's going to take a while to get it onto the drive and then back off the drive onto your computer. This has a good reputation. For $9, you're talking 8 gigabytes of data. I have a couple of flash drives just hanging around my studio here in the lab for video editing between the different computers that I use. Speaking of the lab, if you're not already using one of these, again, this is one of those non-sexy kind of gifts, but such a must. Put this on the top of your list, and you need to get it yourself, especially if you live in an area that's fraught with electrical storms. Okay, whether it's electrical storms, maybe you live out in the country where you have lots of power outages. If you're editing video, if you're using any kind of technology, consumer electronics devices, computers, video editors, you really should be using a UPS, which stands for uninterruptible power supply. Now, you've probably heard of something called the what am I trying to think of? A surge protector. That's it. Now, a surge protector and a UPS are two different things, and most UPSs have a surge protector included. A surge protector is an electronic mechanical device that if a great deal of signal voltage comes down the wires, okay, either the power company has a mess up at their plant or a lightning strikes right outside your home and the electricity travels up the wires into your home, a surge protector is designed to protect any electrical equipment that's plugged into that device so that it won't damage it. It kind of clamps or shuts down and doesn't let more than a set amount of volts to go through to the equipment. So that's very important. The UPS, however, this big clunky rectangle has a big kind of a marine grade battery inside. And what it does is it keeps enough electricity inside of there to keep powering devices in the event there's a power outage. So as I'm working tonight, if my power went out in the home, what would happen, and I'm plugged into this very same device, my computer would keep working between 10 and 20 minutes, allowing me to at least finish a couple sentences, safely save my progress, and shut down the computer before the power went out to the computer devices. Same thing with your editor, because if you're in the middle of the edit, if you're in the middle of a recording with your hard disk drive, it is possible to not only lose the file you're working on that moment in time, but to lose the data up since the last time you saved it. So a UPS is critical. Now let me point out something. For $59, what you get is you get 8 power outlets. Count them: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4 on each side. The reason why I've specified 4 plus 4 here is only 4 of them are covered with UPS. All of them are covered with surge protector, so 4 of them on one side only has a surge protector. The other 4 on the other side has surge protector plus the UPS, uninterruptible power supply, or the battery backup. So just important for you to know. I'd hate for you to get home and say, yes, I've got 8 connectors now that are backed up with a battery backup. This is pretty consistent with most of the manufacturers, but this has gotten more affordable in the last few years, and my goodness, golly gosh, everybody should be using one of these. Here's another kind of device, maybe, and I've put this in here for one special reason. We've seen surge protectors and power strips for years, okay, and they've become second nature. Okay. The nice thing about this one is that it has 2 USB ports. See them on the bottom part of the image here, the photograph? They will charge up devices that will accept USB power. So things like an iPhone, smartphone, Android, you can plug that in and right into the power strip, which is really nice. The other thing, and I want to point it out here, is you see on both sides of this power strip, there's 3 jacks for 3 plugs, and then there's one by itself on each side. That's very nice if you're plugging in electrical equipment, electronic components that have the big transformer, the big blockish plug right at the end where you plug it in. That's why they have those connectors separated like that. And some of the more expensive premium power strips will have more of those spread out. And that's what you want to look for if you have a lot of devices that would need that. All right, on to a couple of different things here as we wind our way through gadgets and gifts for the video producer, nearing the end of our session. The only software I'm going to talk about today is right here on this screen. I do have an upcoming webinar where I'm going to highlight what I consider to be the 5 most popular and 5 best choices of video editing application software. But today I wanted to do something fun. I want to focus on an application that will let you create fun, creative, cool stop frame animation. Whether you do clay animation, whether you do animation with Lego figures rather, if you do animation from paper cutouts, or just even child's toys. There's some really cool videos. And this might be something that's fun to do with your own children or grandchildren, your nieces and nephews, or maybe your spouse on a Friday evening. I have 2 different softwares to choose from based on your computing platform. On the left, we have the Windows recommendation. If you're using a Windows computer, my recommendation is to use Stop Motion Pro. Stop Motion Pro is capable of some very creative and cool animations. They have, I think, 5 different levels, starting with Action, and I'm trying to remember if that's between $49 and $99. I recommend the Action Plus, and the reason why is it's the first of the series that allows you kind of full screen video at 720 by 480, which is a full screen standard def resolution. Its little baby sister, little baby brother, the Action, only allows, I think, 320 resolution, which is okay if you're showing it on YouTube, but not much else. If you're using a Macintosh computer on the Mac OS, I recommend Boink's iStop Motion. Boinks is the company. It's a manufacturer in Germany who puts out several different really nice pieces of software. And I've actually used iStop Motion. My elementary school son turned me on to it a couple years ago because he used it in a tech summer camp. Very useful, very practical, but also both of these pieces of software will get you very professional results. Now, Boink's iStop Motion, you can get the home version for $49. It goes all the way up to $4.99. I should have put that with Stop Motion Pro too. It goes up to $4.99 and beyond if you're going for the professional level with features that a high-end professional is going to want, and some of the other things that give you the commercial license to do that kind of thing with. But just a fun piece of software. And if I'm not mistaken, both of these also do have 15 or 30-day free trial. So maybe you're snowed in this winter holiday with your family or part of your family members. Be a great time to download the software and make your animated videos. Some stocking stuffers. On the left, we have the Fold and Go LCD hood. Now, the point and shoot camera I'm using, I mentioned to you, the Sony 9V. This is ideal for that. And what it does, it's like a little sunshade. Now, this is not the equivalent of a $200 or $300 part that's perfectly made for a device. It's a cheap little device that's going to have a few uses. And maybe it's just the right thing for that really bright sunny day at the beach, because what it does is it has an adhesive rim, so it attaches to the back of your view screen and gives you a little bit of sunshade. Okay, so kind of like the sunshade we saw for the viewfinder, but a little bit different because it goes right on the back of a point-and-shoot camera. On the right, we have Hoodman hood wipes, and $2.99 for each hood wipe. And what that is, it's chemically treated with a non-alcoholic substance that's safe for glass and other LCD kind of panels and screens. a great way to get the fingerprints off of your devices. While we're in the realm of very useful stocking stuffer kind of things, if you're like me, you got cables this way and cables that way, cables every which way going across your desk in your edit suite, your lab, your studio. And this is a cool little device. It's called the Cable Drop. And for $12, you get 6 of these. Now, they do adhere very firmly to the surface, whatever surface you're using. So it's not something you're going to want to move around a lot. It's, I would even say, permanent to semi-permanent. So put it in a location where you plan or where you have cables all the time, and you can just clamp it down. And it can sit there as a way to avoid bumping in it, to avoid having it go like maybe it's across your desk and it's where you slide in every day, and the cable always seems to get caught by your knee and pull something off the top of your desk. Well, you can have this be a way to manage or organize that cable. The application you see here on the right is another way. It's always sitting there so that when you bring your laptop, this is an example of a laptop, you bring your laptop in and set it on your desk, there's the cable that connects to the power supply and the cable that connects to your keyboard and the FireWire cable that goes to your camera or to the USB hard drive, whatever you want to do. So just a really nice way to help organize your edit suite and studio. Just a couple last other gifts, ideas for the video producer. In the area of services, this is a great choice for somebody who's growing in their filmmaking and wanting to share it with more and more people. On a recent webinar, I talked about video sharing websites. In fact, if you're curious about video sharing websites, what's the difference between YouTube and Vimeo and a SmugMug, and why would you share a video on YouTube, and what's the right quality setting to export your video before sharing it on an internet hosting website. All those are answered in a recent webinar you'll find at yourvideoexpert.net. Now, Vimeo is a video sharing website, I would dare say second only after YouTube. It's a distant second because YouTube's market penetration is huge. The number of people that tune into YouTube every day, the sheer number of videos that are uploaded to YouTube every minute is astounding and increasing every year. But Vimeo Plus is the kind of premium or paid subscription model for the Vimeo channel. If you go to vimeo.com, you'll see it's a place where people upload and host their videos and share it with other people. There's a social function. Vimeo really is probably the predominant place for independent filmmakers and other video producers to share their stuff and have people give mostly thoughtful comments, unlike YouTube where you get a bunch of prepubescent teens who are looking to be profane. Vimeo does have a bunch of other really nice features, and for $60 a year, 60, you have a greater access to more storage capacity. They do have a free account. You can sign up for Vimeo right now. I do, and several other people do. And if you want to go to the next level, you would sign up for the Vimeo Plus account, which again, it gets you a greater amount of bandwidth, a greater amount of storage capacity. You go to the head of the line, the front of the line for uploading and encoding your video. There's also a bunch of other features. You get greater ability for embedding the video and putting a watermark there and doing some other custom things. You can check that out at vimeo.com. Here's a fun gift to give someone who's really into filmmaking or video making. What about giving them a script from their favorite film or television show? I used to talk about this all the time when I taught school, and I would recommend it to other teachers as well, and I still do. It's an actual little shop in Hollywood, and it's called Hollywood Book City. Their website is hollywoodbookcity.com. And what you do, they have one and only purpose, and that's to provide people with scripts. What they do is they have the film script from pretty much any commercial and even some independent films for $15. So, for example, I have the script of one of my favorite movies, Amadeus by Milos Forman. Great film. I love that movie. And it's really nice to be able to watch your favorite film and read the script. Okay, maybe I'm a little bit of a geek here, but it's a really cool thing. They also have scripts from television shows, from The Simpsons to sitcoms to a drama series. It's a neat kind of a memento or souvenir. As far as books, I do have one book that I like to recommend. If you're getting more and more into video making, the art of screenwriting or script writing, I think, becomes all the more critical to create good quality films. Now, if you're videotaping a vacation, that's one thing. You know, if you're videotaping an event, a sports activity, that's one thing, and that's fine. That's where a good amount of consumer video is created, and I do a lot of that myself. But if you're looking to make your own short films, maybe you've got a great idea for something you'd like to create yourself, it's fun to kind of get a stronger sense about script writing, about screenwriting. And in 2012, I will be having a webinar. I think it's February or March, and I will be sharing some thoughts about screenwriting and script writing, and I'll be having a guest who's a Hollywood screenwriter who's going to help us kind of uncover some of the starting steps. But this is a great read. It's a book by a gentleman named Sid Field, and Sid Field is very well known in the arena of Hollywood screenwriting and script writing, and I find this an easy read. It's a book that's easy to get through. It's entertaining, it's interesting, and I learned a lot. What he does is he focuses on 4 different movies: Thelma and Louise, Terminator 2, The Silence of the Lambs, and Dances with Wolves. And he shows how each of those films made its way from the idea to the screen. The reason he did these 4 is each of them comes from a different pathway. For example, one was translated from a book, one was an original script, and so on and so on. So $12, Sid Field. The title of the book is 4 Screenplays, and it is in my Amazon store. You might also consider a gift subscription or a subscription for yourself to yourvideoexpert.net. For $8 a month or $96 a year, you have access to all my webinars. That's 2 webinars a month, streaming video content, and a whole bunch more articles. I would also recommend or encourage you consider the workshops I have at bestvideoworkshops.com. There's sessions from 3 hours at $59 up to $499 for a full 3-day video adventure. We spend a lot of time together. You really get to know video. You can do things with your video camera you really didn't know were possible. It's my goal for everyone to have an engaging, enjoyable time while you learn a lot. Again, the website, bestvideoworkshops.com. I have a couple of webinars coming up. Next webinar is on Wednesday, November 30th at 9:30 a.m. Pacific Time. The topic is Introduction to Indoor Video Lighting. The webinar after that is December 14th, time-lapse videography, becoming very, very trendy, very important, and some really cool stuff you can create just with the camera you have already in different software. I'll be showing you all the different techniques. Each of these webinars are on a Wednesday morning at 9:30 a.m. Pacific Time. It's just $10 to attend and learn in the convenience of your home or office, just like this session. And if you can't attend live, there will be a recording. It will be available on DVD. And if you're a website member, you'll have all the access to each and every one of these webinars. You can see that there's a whole slew of webinars planned in the coming year. If you have a question from today's webinar, I'd love to hear from you. Maybe it's not a question. Maybe it's something I didn't uncover. Maybe you've got a gadget or gift you'd like to recommend to me so that I can share it with my audience or just use it myself. If you have an idea for an upcoming webinar or a workshop, or maybe you do have a question from something I covered today, again, I'd love to hear from you. You can reach me easiest by email, and that address is Chet, C-H-E-T, at yourvideoexpert.net. Again, that's Chet, C-H-E-T, at yourvideoexpert.net. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you found this session useful and interesting.